The following is a conversation with Kristen Stavridis, a qualified nutritionist and gut health influencer. Through her social media channels and online presence, Kristen promotes a specific plan that benefits the gut microbiome and in turn benefits gut health and overall well-being. I found my conversation with Kristen fascinating. I was really compelled by the results that she's been seeing with so many people around the world. And I've decided that I would like to give the 30-day Gut Reset Gut Health program a try. To make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun for the listeners, I've decided that I'm going to profile my microbiome before I start with a variety of commercially available microbiome testing kits and services from a variety of different companies. I'll document my microbiome profile before I start and document my microbiome profile at the end of the 30 days. I'll also give an interim update to let everyone know how I'm getting on with the diet. Certainly not what I'm used to, although I'm predominantly plant-based, and I think it's going to be pretty challenging, but the results should be really interesting. This is Inside Matters. My name is Dr. James McElroy. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, just got the thumbs up, so we're good. Now back to Oxford Street and bloating. So how many people on Oxford Street are actually bloated?
Oh,
probably a lot, man.
Probably most.
There's probably loads that are walking around. Oh, God.
Yeah.
And I think what you have tapped into maybe is this realization that perhaps most people have a gut problem.
Yeah. And they just don't realize it in the first place because they don't actually know what the gut is. So that's where the education comes in.
Yep.
Telling people, educating them about gut health, and then they'll realize that, oh, all these bloating symptoms and all these problems I'm having are actually not normal. Right. So how do I fix them?
Right. So should we start with what is the gut or what the gut is? Yeah, let's do that.
Just keep it simple and kind of go from there.
Yeah, let's go. No, we're live. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with the gut. So what actually is the gut? So the gut is basically the gastrointestinal tract, and the gastrointestinal tract includes everything from your mouth to your throat to your stomach to your large intestine, small intestine. So it's the whole pathway that food will travel down. But a lot of people kind of mistake the gut for just being your stomach, and that's that's the only thing that digests our food, and nothing else is involved in that process, but it actually is that whole system. So it's really important that we keep that whole system healthy, so that we can, reap the benefits and actually have proper digestion and better mood and better overall well-being as well. So
you mentioned that most people think it's the stomach, but actually it's everything from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Is that because we're not learning about it at school, or like magazines are telling us it's the wrong thing? Like, why is it that people don't know what it is? And how are you getting the information out there to the masses? Like, what's your strategy?
Well, I think we are learning it in school, but it's called the digestive system. So when we're in those science lessons, when we're, 10, 11, 12, even 14, 15 years old, we actually know what the gut is, but we just didn't know that phrase. So we're seeing gut health being so popular everywhere on social media, online, but no one's really explaining what gut actually is. So what I like to do is I like to keep it really, really simple. With a lot of my content on social media, and just kind of strip everything back, because there is so much misinformation out there about gut health and keeping your gut healthy and what that actually is and what that means. So the misinformation confuses people, and then when people are confused, they feel stuck and they don't know what to do, and then they're more likely to jump into fads or do these crazy diets for improving their bloating and all these symptoms of poor gut health that we're telling people about. So it's just all about stripping all the complicated stuff back, educating people, keeping it really, really simple, and then giving them actionable points that are actually realistic, that they can implement into their diet without having to feel like, I have to be a nutritionist or a doctor to be able to keep up this lifestyle. You don't even need to know too much about nutrition. You just need to know the simple steps and actions.
Right. Well, I would go as far as saying that I'm not actually sure most doctors
Yeah.
really know that much. Maybe I'm doing the profession a disservice here.
Well, no,
How to say this without sounding controversial? You say, because you're not, you're a nutritionist and
Yeah.
you know better than I probably.
I do agree. So I have had, even in the last year, hundreds of messages, and even people saying to me, like clients in person saying to me that, I have all these gut issues, really bad pains in my stomach. One big thing that I hear from people is my doctor doesn't take me seriously.
Right.
And or else I go to my doctor with extreme bloating. I'm always bloated. I've no energy. I've indigestion, acid reflux, and the doctor won't even address nutrition or diet or gut health, but they'll just simply administer a pill or pharmaceutical pill or something to treat rather than prevent, and actually get to the root cause, which is diet and which is lifestyle.
So you mentioned a load of things there: bloating, low energy, there might be headaches, that kind of thing. Are these all symptoms of poor gut health? Like what are the classical poor gut health symptoms then, based on your experience?
Yeah, so they can be, just gut health, but there are so many other factors in our body. We could be getting headaches from being, overworked and looking at screens too much every single day, which most of us are. But yes, a lot of these can also show that our gut microbiome there's an imbalance there of good and bad bacteria. But yeah, so the typical signs are extreme bloating or constant bloating. That is not normal. And one of the things that we can kind of maybe talk about this later is I'm seeing a lot of influencers kind of normalize bloating online and saying it's so normal, don't be worried if you're bloated all the time. This is one thing I talk about so much on social media. I do a bit of a rant every now and then.
Have a rant now.
Yes.
Go for it. Go. Go.
But yeah, typical, bloating, digestion issues, discomfort, pains, even skin. Like I always say that your skin can be like a reflection of what's going on in your gut and what's going on inside. Even things like if you catch a cold quite often, because your immune system is so linked with your gut, especially like your large, small intestine around those areas. So they're all symptoms of poor gut health. Even low mood and fertility issues is another one that people don't talk about. Smart. So especially for women, our estrogen cycle is very, very linked to our gut and the system of digestion there. And if we're not eating properly, if we're not treating our gut properly, that can actually have an effect on our estrogen cycle, our periods, fertility, ovulation, mood, sex drive, libido, all these different things. So I always say gut health is everything, but it is. Gut health is health. Gut health is health, yes.
I love that. Yeah. So let's go back to this influencer thing then, because that's so interesting. So I guess, what is an influencer? Someone that's very popular.
Yeah,
in
essence. A lot of followers on social media or kind of well-known figure.
Okay. And these people are saying you might be feeling really bad and your stomach an abdomen is distended, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying?
Yeah. So there was a kind of trend. It's not as popular right now because I think gut health has overtaken this trend of these influencers who have no medical background, no nutrition background or qualifications or anything. But there was this big phase on social media that I saw, and a lot of other nutritionists and doctors and people that, love gut health and educate. We were seeing these posts and worrying like, no, this is undoing all of this work we've been doing. But a lot of influencers that don't have this experience or knowledge on gut health or nutrition or overall well-being health, and posting photographs of like their bloated stomachs saying this is bloating is normal, and you can even go onto the hashtag on Instagram, bloating is normal.
Oh my goodness.
And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of posts. And I think what confused people, and the confusion of how this was created, was people were trying to show and say that, being full is normal. Of course, when we eat food, being full, our stomach, of course, is going to expand a little bit because we're full. It's full of food. But then it kind of got lost in translation, and there was this big trend of people saying that bloating and bloating and being full are actually two different things. Bloating, what I understand, what I know is it's kind of down to inflammation. It's more of an inflammatory process, whereas being full is normal. Yes, after you eat, you should actually not be eating to the point of where you're seriously full and uncomfortable. That's actually quite damaging over time for your system. But being full after a meal is normal, but being really bloated all the time, constantly, that is not normal.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing this big trend of influencers posting a lot about recently.
Right. So in terms of them pushing this forward, was this just some like fad to try and get more followers, or was there some research published somewhere that said actually bloating? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, is it evidence based at all, or has it just appeared in the internet?
Yes, it has appeared out of thin air, and I think it kind of falls into the sector of body positivity.
Yes.
And yes, we should love our body no matter what it looks like, but there is that fine line of loving your body and actually ignoring symptoms of poor health and risk factors for disease. That shouldn't be accepted and promoted.
Right.
I think.
When we were talking before the show started, you were talking about your own journey in terms of getting into this really, really key gut health domain, and there was an element of bloating associated with that, wasn't there? You comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was actually, last year, just over a year ago, I went away, I was traveling, and I kind of lost my whole nutritionist character and integrity. And I was just, eating this unhealthy diet. I was drinking lots of alcohol, post-COVID kind of party, let loose. And I came back and was just dealing with so many issues with my digestion, with bloating, with everything, all these common signs of poor gut health, and decided to kind of do a little experiment on myself. Obviously, I know so much about gut health and nutrition, so kind of just put myself on my own little program for gut health and saw the most incredible transformation. So that was actually this month last year, back in September last year. And just kind of, I guess, created my own program, put myself on it. And ever since then, I've just not dealt with any of the symptoms or this constant bloating or pain that I was going through before. So it's just so incredible to see these changes being implemented and their long-term sustainable habits that have given me results, and that's how I help people now. So
what was your own program then, or is that a secret? Do we have to do we have to go to one of your things? Top secret?
Yeah, definitely no, it's not top secret. But yeah, basically what this is a 30 days program where we take out inflammatory foods and ingredients. So things like dairy.
Sorry, we've got to remove all dairy.
Yes,
so no cheese.
Just for 30 days.
No cheese.
No cheese, just for 30 days. Because a lot of us, we actually do struggle and suffer a lot when we eat heavy cheeses and a lot of dairy. And you'll see that if you do struggle with gut issues or digestion, even skin issues too, when you take these things out of your diet, oh my gosh, you feel like a new person. So
I'm making a note to talk about skin because that's so interesting. So I will come back to skin.
Yes.
But so no dairy. Just for 30 days.
Just for 30 days.
And
acting as a reset. So no dairy, no alcohol is another one.
Yep.
The next one I recommend most people, and it's not just based around gut health, but it's actually taking away coffee. And this is where I get a lot of hate, a lot of kind of mixed reviews, and people saying, well, coffee, there's so many studies out there showing coffee's so great for the gut and this and that. And yes, that's absolutely true in some elements, but what I found is a lot of us were so reliant on coffee. We're drinking 2-3 coffees a day. I was that person, so I know. And what we're doing is
I am that person.
Are we watching your coffee?
No. Well, yeah.
But,
2, I think I'm maxed out at 2.
Yeah.
2 a day is the max. 3. Well, when I was working as a doctor.
Yeah.
And trying to build the company at the same time, I'm sure I was definitely having 3 or more. But this is interesting. So no dairy, no alcohol, no coffee.
Yeah.
So I can see why people push back on the coffee thing, right?
Yeah. But what this is, it's kind of like, and a lot of people will be familiar with this phrase, but an elimination diet. And this is something that's really common for nutritionists and dietitians alike to kind of put their clients on. So it's like 30 days or a certain period of time where you are eliminating common, potentially inflammatory foods or foods that are going to irritate your gut if you're doing it for gut and inflammation. So coffee, I find that it does irritate the lining of the gut for a lot of people. It leads to a lot of energy crashes where people are feeling really tired, and then because they're having that low energy and that crash in energy, they're much more prone to reaching for that sugary, unhealthy snack to get their energy back up. When we're drinking a lot of coffee as well, we tend to it can be very dehydrating on our gut and on our system in general too. And especially if you deal with acid reflux, that's another sign of poor gut health. Drinking a lot of coffee can be quite harmful for that over time. So it's just for 30 days. You can, after it, reintroduce it back in. But I always say to people, you are going to feel maybe not for the first week, you're going to want to hate me, but then after that, once you wean yourself off it or just reduce your intake, you are going to feel a lot better and you're going to see less bloating. I've seen this for hundreds of my clients.
So it's 3 key elements: no dairy, no alcohol, and no coffee. And
it doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there. Okay.
I also recommend just overall, it's just being as healthy as possible. So reducing your alcohol intake as well. Alcohol is one of the most inflammatory things that we're drinking all the time, especially in the UK. We have a very big alcohol culture, especially in these bigger cities. I know in London, living here the last 4 or 5 years, that culture of after work drinks, and there's a huge alcohol culture, and then we're all suffering with these gut issues and all these issues, and alcohol plays a really big role in all of those. So alcohol, and then I recommend, if possible, gluten, just again for 30 days. So it's just these kind of concepts, we're removing them from our diet. And with my program, with all the meals and the recipes that I create for my clients, they're all designed to be really great substitutes for those things that you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't eat this, and this. So what am I going to eat? Lettuce leaves for 30 days and water? So.
I mean, I'm just thinking in my head here, how would I fare on this? So on the alcohol, no problem. Very, very limited intake, because it affects my training and my sleep and my performance at work. And on the weekends these days, I love to do a Monroe or 2 or more, and it just doesn't align with that. So I think I'll be okay with that. On the dairy, I'd find that hard. I love Greek yogurt and I love cheese. So that would be a tough one. Now, coffee. I'm thinking in my head, how am I going to do that? Gluten's another interesting one. I think I could maybe do gluten. So maybe for an experiment, I'll just try your program and I can report back on the later podcast. No, seriously, I'm up for it. For sure. I'm definitely up for trying it. So there's 4 pillars then, in addition to just being as healthy as possible. So tell us more then about a typical client. Like, what are the issues and what are the results you've seen on day 30? Is it one of these things where people do it and they go, you know what, I don't want that again because I feel so good? Or do they all kind of say, well, I'll have a little bit of that, a little bit of this? What happens?
I guess it really comes down to the client. Most people will come to me with the typical, I'm bloated all the time, I don't go to the bathroom every single day, my skin's breaking out, all the low energy, all of these symptoms that we spoke about a second ago, and then they'll go on the program. And I always say to people, progress, not perfection. So a lot of people will join my program or do this regime and kind of want to give their gut a bit of a kind of reset, and they'll try their best, but that's even doing it 50%, that's 50% better in terms of your diet than you were eating before, and you're going to see massive changes. So this is designed this lifestyle is designed to be a kind of starting point for you to educate yourself on how good you can be, how good you can feel, and how good your body is made to feel, and just a little glimpse into the life of not being bloated all the time and what it can actually be like, so that they can, you know, take bits and pieces, and then after the 30 days they live a kind of 80-20 lifestyle. So
what is the 80-20? What does that mean?
So that is kind of a concept which refers to like 80% of the time you are eating in line with this program, or eating this way, or as close to this way as you can. And then 20% of the time you can do whatever you like, you know, drink alcohol, gluten, coffee, whatever, you process stuff, anything. But because you have, or even, you know, 70-30, that is so beneficial for you. And even myself, going from eating all this unhealthy food, drinking alcohol, 1 million coffees a day last summer, this was like 4 months straight of just not being healthy. Then going back to the program, now I actually find it easy because I feel so good. I actually don't want to sit every day and eat the way I was eating before, because I just know how terrible I'm going to feel. So,
and one of the things we spoke about before the show started was, and you've got more first-hand experience than I do, but my general view is that people don't understand how good they can or could feel if they took action and put the work in every day to make the changes that you're describing, but also just things like regular exercise, eating your fiber target every day, you know, and personally, and this is more of an investor type thing, I would say now, I don't think there's a limit to how good we can feel. I really don't think there's a ceiling. I don't know what the sort of upper echelons are. I don't know if you become a sort of...
I'm not levitating just...
I was just about to say, I don't know if you become one of the people who've achieved enlightenment and you're just sort of in ecstasy and euphoria 24/7, 365 with phenomenal gut health and great skin and you're shredded, and I don't know. But I do think that once people feel it and they're not bloated and they've got energy and the skin's looking good, and people are going, oh, you look good, you know, and they're not looking tired in the morning, then it becomes an almost self-fulfilling like cycle where they want to do it because they like how they feel rather than it being a challenge.
Absolutely.
So what are most of the symptoms then that come to you in terms of your client base? What are they describing? Is it the bloating?
So most of the bloating.
That's what made you famous, right?
Absolutely. I'm famous for being bloated. Not really the best thing, but I'm not bloated anymore, which is good. So
no, but seriously,
for not being bloated now. I flipped it over.
No, but seriously, I said that because there's a video, you were telling me about the video, right? That kind of lifted your gut health fame. And that was, what was that? I've not seen it, but it's on a TikTok.
On TikTok, So I actually, before I did the program last year and got into gut health and kind of, I was always into gut health, but started really focusing on it and educating people on social media. And then after I kind of did my gut health blitz and really started eating properly, so I made a very quick video of the kind of before and after, and just showing the impact that focusing on your gut health can have and the difference it can make. Posted that on TikTok and it went completely viral. I actually had 3 videos of it and they all have around like 2-3 million views, because so many people related, and so many people actually didn't realize that being bloated all the time and dealing with all the issues that I was dealing with, and I described and showed in the video, that's actually not normal. That is not, we should, not be struggling with health issues and normalizing health issues, which I truly believe that poor gut health is a health issue. It's like,
agreed.
Yeah, a big thing that's taken over the world. A lot of people just are not eating the right foods, not eating and living the right lifestyle, and they're seeing this impact, but they're thinking it's normal.
So the video then you posted, and we can and we will post-show edit that in, if you don't mind, so we can actually see the transformation. Do you think that it's got so many views because, and you touched on it, there's that many people out there right now, today, who are experiencing what you were experiencing, and they've seen that and gone, oh my goodness, I can actually do something about this?
Yeah.
And it's just like a revelation, so to speak. Yeah, do you think that's it? Or do you think it was just like, because the photos were so dramatic, people like, whoa, like she's made amazing progress?
Yeah. Well, most of the comments, like thousands and thousands and thousands of comments I've had on these videos, even just messages via Instagram and people emailing me, the feedback is mostly like, I struggle with this, help me. Not like, oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
All the comments have been like, help me, help me, help me. I deal with this. Thousands of people coming into my inbox and saying, I need help. Can I do what you did? So people are struggling. It's a very common thing. And yeah, it's not even to do with weight loss. I think most of us, we do know how to lose weight. It is simple, get into a calorie deficit, exercise more, eat a little bit less. But gut health, it seems like more of a difficult to understand topic because people don't know what it is in the first place. And it's not something that is mainstream just yet. It is starting to become mainstream. We're seeing gut health being quite a big trend actually now, especially on social media. But people just don't know what to do and how to manage or handle it.
Right. So what changes have you seen over the last 12 months then in terms of social media and how gut health is becoming more and more of a thing?
Yeah, it wasn't as much of a trend. So when I first kind of posted that video, gut health wasn't as trendy. It wasn't as, if you go onto TikTok now, if you type in health, or if you even just scroll through the explore page on Instagram, you will probably see a lot of gut health and digestion type of content and videos and reels. Right. It wasn't like that even a year ago. It wasn't that big back then. But now if you go onto social media platforms, you will see so much of this information and so much advice. A lot of it not very helpful.
Right.
Lot of it.
So in terms of the not helpful advice, like what are some people saying to people? And must be so hard for somebody who has realized they've got a problem.
Yeah.
They go on and they get this like tidal wave of conflicting information, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Like, what's out there for people to see?
Yeah. So there's like a lot of information, even a video and a trend that was posted on TikTok a couple of months ago, this trend of if you get bloated, put your legs up against the wall and kind of basically lie upside down.
Oh my God. Which
is the opposite of what you want to be doing. If you're constipated, if you're backed up, if you're dealing with stomach issues, you don't want to be lying upside down, like undoing gravity and the way things should be going. Right. It's like silly trends like this. Right. And you're seeing like...
Could be harming people.
Absolutely.
They could be harming people. Yeah. So why are these people not getting help from doctors? Is it because doctors don't recognize this as actually being an issue and they just say, oh, it's just, in the head kind of thing, or it's just nothing, it's just normal? Yeah. What do you think? Or is it like they just want to prescribe something for something and therefore they're less inclined to give like a proper sit down tutorial on nutrition? Yeah. What's your thoughts based on the people you see?
I think, people, a lot of them are going to doctors. That's the thing. And they're coming to me then after this long string of like colonoscopies and to doctors. Really? Yeah, a lot of people, really getting this in-depth analysis of what is going on. And their doctors even then are still telling them, well, nothing's wrong, take this pill. Where a lot of these issues, and a lot of them are more serious, absolutely. Sure. But a lot of them can be undone or improved by eating for gut health, eating the right way, and going to a nutritionist or a specialist in gut health rather than a doctor, because I think medical doctors, they're not educated. It's not, a medical doctor's fault, but part of the curriculum for doctors, there is not a big enough nutrition element to it. Yep. Whereas I do believe that nearly all diseases do stem from the gut. Right. I do believe that.
Yeah, no, you're in the right place. I also believe that. And I'm sure this is not a new concept. Yeah. We can go back to ancient Greece. I know this is back to your homeland, so to speak. It's just super, super interesting that only now, however many hundreds or thousands of years later, are we really starting to understand just how true Hippocrates and the other ancient Greeks actually were in their statements. They did say things like, all disease begins in the gut. Let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food, which is essentially what you're saying. You're saying, you know, your diet is the key to improving your gut health, and that's the key to sort of potentially solving all these symptoms and preventing disease and so on. When you said colonoscopy, I wrote that in capitals with like an exclamation mark, question mark. So I suppose the doctors and the medical community are going through like a workup to make sure there's no like really sinister thing. Right. Okay. And then once they've had the workup and they realize that maybe there isn't any inflammatory bowel disease or any evidence of that, or there isn't anything they can see that could potentially be a cancer or whatever, they then say, well, they sort of go, that's it.
There's nothing wrong with you.
That's it. And it's maybe in your mind or whatever. And then we have lots of patients going, okay, what do I do next? And at no point probably were they given the information they needed to take the necessary steps to get all of that stuff under control. And I think some people as well might even go a step further and do a self microbiome test.
Yes.
Now we've had some, thus far on this podcast, we've had some pretty scathing conversations about this.
These home tests.
Yeah, home tests.
Yes.
Yeah. So
not a fan.
Not a
that's
fan.
What I'll say is
it's a recurring theme on this podcast.
Especially, you know, these kind of cheaper at home testing kits. Like, it's impossible for someone at home that probably doesn't even know how to use it properly to see a full in-depth analysis of your gut microbiome by a cheap test that you're ordering off Amazon for £5. It's just not.
Okay, so this is new to me. I had only heard of tests where you got a kit, you sent the kit away, and the lab did something, and then you got a report back. What you're describing is now another level.
Yes,
so
there's both. There's all of these different types of tests.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So,
well, I need to do an episode on all these tests because I'm fascinated. So there's tests you can order off Amazon very cheaply. Or
similar kind of websites or cheap testing kits or companies which are allowing you to do all sorts and kind of have, you know, promising that you can have an in-depth analysis of your gut, but also the other side of things where you have explained in terms of they're taking like a little swab and that swab is telling them that they're allergic to protein or this thing. It's like crazy. And I'm getting these, a lot of customers or clients of mine are coming to me and sending me these screenshots, and they're being told by these companies from a home testing kit that they can't eat kale, they can't eat this, they can't eat that. And it's like a list of hundreds of like the best foods for their gut. And I know that these foods are not the reason why they're having gut issues. The reason why they're having gut issues is because they're drinking Lucozade every morning, they're drinking cheap pre-workout powders, they're drinking, you know, cocktails a million nights a week. That's why, not because they're eating a certain fat or protein or kale or, you know, whatever. Yeah.
This is crazy. So I think what you're describing is they get the results at home, like on the same day or in the same minute. And that is nuts. Like, that's just not, that surely is not possible based on the current state of the art technology to give something that's robust. Whoa. Okay. Well, I need to do some more research on that. I'm really interested because I think that we as professionals in the space need to be aware of all of this because people will come to us and the clinical community need to be aware as well. And they'll say, they'll come in and they paid for this and they present it to you and they say, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
And you go, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, even if someone got the best microbiome analysis on the planet, all the analytical methods, super robust methodologies, the labs have all the accreditations, and you had a panel of the good and the great in microbiome analyzing it, I still don't think they'd be able to give a perfect solution. I think that, and I think if they did, they'd be saying similar things to what you're saying, to be honest with you. Maybe there'd be some personalized element. We'll talk about probiotics and prebiotics and so on. But if someone's drinking Lucozade, the cheap pre-workout, and having cocktails every night of the week, I don't think it matters what microbiome analysis you're doing. You're probably going to be saying you need to calm that down a little bit, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So what are the best microbiome foods then, based on your experience?
Well, it all kind of goes back to the basics of plant foods. So starting from there, that is the best thing that you can eat for supporting better gut health, and not even just for gut health. Like, if anyone has read the China study, we know that eating a more plant-based diet is so beneficial to every single system in our body, disease prevention, all of these different diseases that we could be getting. So eating more plant-based foods. But for gut health, things like artichokes, asparagus, nuts, seeds, oats, eating fruits and vegetables with the skin on, but washing them properly. I just had an article in The Sun where I was talking about, it was actually one of my TikTok videos talking about the importance of washing fruits and vegetables properly.
I'm going to tell you something and you're going to tell me I've been very silly for a long time. Oh, no. I always thought that you shouldn't wash your fruits and your vegetables because you wanted that earthy dirt on them. So what did your article say? You're going to correct me now. So
maybe back in the day, years and years and years ago, when they weren't using these literally carcinogenic pesticides and chemicals and all this stuff, GMO foods, everything is so many harmful pesticides on the outside, and the pesticides that they're using now to grow fruits and veg are so harmful for your gut microbiome. So what I do, I'm the opposite now, and this is what I recommend to everyone, to be washing, even if you're eating organic, unless if you have grown your own food in the back garden. By all means, eat the soil, go for it, eat it raw out of the ground. But if you're buying it from a supermarket, make sure you're washing it properly. So what I do is I buy my fruits and veg from the supermarket. I will fill up a clean sink of water, and I will add in a tablespoon of baking soda and sometimes a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And it's actually been shown in research studies to be one of the most effective ways. There was a research done on apples. The most effective way to get rid of pesticides from the surface of fruits and veg, even in comparison to other formulations which have been sold on the market to remove the pesticides. Actually, just take it back to baking soda, which is so cheap.
Wow.
And if you leave your fruits and veg to kind of
How long?
soak in that 12 to 15 minutes, the best kind of time. So just, come home from your shop, pour all your fruits and veg in the sink, add some baking soda, go do whatever you need to do, come back and then rinse that off, and then you can go from there. Mm-hmm.
So we talked a lot about plants and how to prepare the plants. Is an entirely plant-based diet the way to go, or can people still have some of the other things that they might like, meat, fish, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so overall you want to get a balanced diet for optimal health, but it has been shown in so much research that reducing red meat in particular and processed meat, so things like bacon, ham, cured meat, salami, that sort of stuff, it's very beneficial to reduce the intake of that, to reduce the amount. And a lot of us are eating lots and lots of red meat, lots of servings of meat, processed meat in nearly every meal that we're having, lunch, dinners throughout the week. You're going to see a lot of benefits for your gut health and for your overall well-being if you reduce that. And even, going plant-based doesn't mean you're vegan. It's just, most of your diet is based on plants, but you can have, a couple of portions of meat, and fish as well. I'm a pescatarian. I do eat mostly vegan.
Pescatarian is
eating fish
as
well.
And plants.
And plants as well.
Got it.
Yes. So, and I eat eggs as well, sometimes a couple of times a week. But majority of the times, not as much. I just find that, and even from doing my own gut health journey, that when I took out dairy out of my diet, I felt so much better.
Interesting.
Skin was better.
Interesting.
Less inflamed.
We still need to talk about skin, and we will get there. I just want to continue this because it's really, really interesting. So, red meat and GMOs are quite controversial, right? Because on the GMO side, some people say, no, we can't have this and avoid them, whereas some other people say, they're fine. We need GMOs for, future scalability of food supply and so on. And then on the red meat side, you've got some people who are like paleo or who are purely carnivorous insofar as they only eat meat. I've never understood that one, by the way, from a gut microbiome perspective. And just for the listener, those bugs in your gut, they need the things that you can't digest because that's what they feed off and so on. So I've never understood that. But have you had firsthand experience of people coming to you eating loads of these things and stopping and then getting better?
Yes. Most of my clients will come to me and maybe they're eating a lot of these processed meats, a lot of meat on their diet, and then they see that miraculously when they eat more plant foods and when they kind of slowly reduce their intake of meat, they feel better.
Right. I'll tell you a story. I through my work at Prebiotics, I work with some researchers at the Rowett Institute who are world renowned for work on nutrition and also anaerobic microbiology, both in humans but also in other animal species. And I turned up to this meeting with 2 or 3 very eminent researchers, and I was hungry and I pulled out this ultra processed beef jerky thing, started eating it, and they all just, I can recall one of them in particular called Alan Walker was just looking at me like, James, he was like, do you not know that that's really bad? I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, these ultra processed meats are definitely highly correlated with colorectal cancer. Yeah. And just generally bad gut health. And I was like, whoops. Okay. So from then on, I've just not eaten it. And I have to say, I think there is something to be said for how hard it is for your body to digest these steaks and things like that. You know, if you want to give your gut a rest, just, you know, maybe not eat them.
Absolutely.
So skin, very interesting. So interesting. So I guess for someone who's hearing this for the first time, they're probably thinking, what? I thought to have good skin, I just put things on my skin, right? Yeah. But what I'm hearing is that's not the case.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And I've actually had like such a transformation. This was one of my biggest transformations as well, alongside the bloating and everything that I had last year. But my skin, it like completely cleared up. It was just incredible. Wow. And our skin is an excretory organ. So if we're overbearing our body with a lot of toxins, a lot of processed foods, not drinking enough water, and our liver is kind of like, oh, there's too much there, kidneys, a lot of the stuff is going to come out of our skin, and we're going to see that on our skin. So our skin, it's very, very linked to our gut and our diet. Really, really important that we are eating a diet that is in line with improving our gut health, because if you want to clear your skin, that's how you're going to do it, really. Kind of
counterintuitive, right? A lot of people wouldn't think that. But so your experience has been, by the sounds of it, resoundingly positive. And your clients as well? What are you seeing with your clients?
Yeah, so skin is one of the kind of longest processes, or longest, I guess, results to see when you start on a gut health journey. Yep. So unlike with, when you change your diet and you kind of reduce the bloating, that can actually happen quite quickly. You can see differences in your tummy and digestion actually quite quickly.
How quickly?
It really depends on
Varies
the person.
from person to person. Okay.
Varies, yeah.
But what do you see in terms of like a range?
If they're, quite strict, if they're really eating well, mostly plant-based, around a week to 10 days to 2 weeks-ish.
Okay. That's fast.
Yeah, very fast. If they do it properly.
Yep. Properly means sticking to your program.
Yes.
Yep. No, I hear you. And we'll go back to the program as well, because I think it would be good for you to talk about like example meal days or the kind of things that really work for people. So pretty quick, if someone's really feeling it with the bloat, they make these changes. 1 week later, they could be bloat free. Potentially, yeah. This is cool.
Big improvements in that.
This is cool. So the bloating's first, and then what happens over the rest of the 30 days plus?
So you'll see a lot of like changes in energy levels as well. That's a big thing. Yep. And also cravings. So our gut bacteria can actually have a big effect on the type of cravings we're having. So like sugar cravings, that type of thing. And actually, one of the things I see a lot of my clients kind of not freak out about, but get a bit scared of when they start their gut health journey, they start my program is, oh, I can't eat all these Haribo sweets and these jellies and this dessert and all these different things. And they're like, but because my cravings are so bad, I don't know how I'm going to deal. But I'm like, well, you have to actually get to the root. Why do you have the uncontrollable cravings there in the first place? They're there because of your diet right now, and also because of your gut bacteria.
Yeah.
They have a big say in your
They
cravings.
do. So tell me more then. So people start with big cravings, and then what happens? They have them and then they stop, or?
No, so what I like to do is actually show people how they can have healthier alternatives to those things
Love
that
it.
maybe they're enjoying.
Love it.
So you can actually still eat, and I do every single day, sweet things that can be healthy, good for your gut health, that are delicious. Like even last night, I was like craving something sweet, love it sweet. So what I made was like my gut health nice cream. So it's like ice cream, but it's good for you.
I like it.
Caramelized honey, cinnamon, bananas. And it was amazing. And it was actually better than any rubbish
Sounds good.
packaged gelatin sweets that I was maybe
For
eating
sure.
before.
For sure. You're satisfying the sweet tooth, and you're nourishing your body with nutrients and macronutrients. Micronutrients and macronutrients. Okay,
Yeah.
this is cool. So the cravings are potentially tough, but you're offsetting that with foods that, I don't know, scratch the same itch or whatever. Like you need something sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what should people expect next? You mentioned the skin. So the skin's a longer term thing.
Skin's a longer term thing. So it's not instant skin. I find even in like the nutrition world, and I've had such a journey with my skin over even the last 10 years. It is something that is a process, and it is very different for each person.
Right.
Like for me, there's times where I've cleared up my skin in a month to 2 months, or maybe there's another time where it breaks out again, and it is a longer journey to kind of healing and clearing that.
Can I just clarify, when you say breakout, you're talking about like spots and acne, or do you mean like psoriasis or all of the above?
Mostly for spots, acne, that type of thing, but actually psoriasis and even dry skin. Eczema is a big one, really, really linked to your gut health. Eczema, I've seen big links even with family, where we've kind of done our own little experiments at home and removed processed sugar and seen eczema like improve dramatically.
Wow.
So yes, like all skin symptoms, but mostly in my experience, I've seen improvements with acne, spots, that type of thing.
Yep. And on the sugar then, so is it okay to eat things that are high in sugar that aren't heavily processed? So for example, fruit. Can people on your diet have unlimited fruit, or do you also like sort of maybe taper that down a little bit as well?
Yeah, so I never like to, I see a lot of nutritionists and health gurus kind of demonizing fruit and saying it's really high in sugar, sugar's so bad for you, but it is different. You're attaching all these micronutrients and macronutrients as well to the fruit that you're eating. There's lots of fiber in there, even prebiotic rich components too. So there's all these health benefits attached to the fruit that you're eating. What I like to say to people is you kind of want to balance your blood sugar. So if you're just eating a large serving of fruit, you're probably going to see a little bit of a spike in your blood sugar, energy, and it might crash a little bit. But doing something like adding a protein or a fat to that serving of berries that you're having, you can add a handful of Brazil nuts, or even add your fruit to a bowl of oats in the morning. You're actually going to have that steady flow of blood sugar. You're going to have a steady flow of energy throughout the day. But yeah, trying to have that balance. You don't want to just be eating massive bowls and portions of fruit and then eating rubbish for the rest of the day. You want to, spread it out as well.
Got it. We mentioned some things there that people might not know the meaning of. So we mentioned micronutrients, macronutrients, and prebiotics. Should we do a wee sort of definition sort of for all of them? So micronutrients, vitamins, minerals.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Vitamins, minerals, those kind of trace elements as well.
Yep. And macronutrients?
Macronutrients are like your proteins, fats, carbohydrates.
Got it. So when people look at the back of something and it's got that breakdown, okay. Yeah. And then the prebiotics, and we'll talk about probiotics as well, but the prebiotics are?
So prebiotics, you kind of mentioned it a minute ago. So it's kind of like the food for your gut bacteria. And yeah, indigestible and also digestible fibers too. And you're going to see that, yes, again, mostly in plant foods, in seeds, in nuts, chia seeds, that type of thing, plant-based fibers. That's going to deliver your body and your gut these prebiotic kind of components, and that's going to feed your gut bacteria, and your gut bacteria has a job in a huge role to play in not just digesting food and producing some vitamins, but actually in lots of other things like your immune system and cravings like we talked about, and even hormones too.
The craving thing is so interesting. Just thinking, hang on a second, it could be the bugs.
It's not me, it's the bugs.
It's the bugs.
Yeah.
But we've not fully teased that out. There's a lot of things that bugs produce that we've just never characterized.
Yeah.
We know they do, and we can sort of see them on these, what they call metabolomic studies. But no one's ever actually done the work to actually figure out what they are. So there could be some metabolite or some compound or something, protein, that the bug or the bugs produce that trigger these cravings.
Yeah.
Could be that.
Yeah,
eat loads of sugar. Yeah. And they go, actually, I want a bit of that.
Yeah.
I want some more of that. Where is that? Give me more. And I suppose if they're feeding off that and you stop eating it, then they probably die and they just go. So what I'm thinking about as you're telling me and the listeners about your programs is, okay, so what's actually happening to the microbiome? And there's probably some big changes going on in there.
Yeah.
The populations are shifting. There's that element of the cravings, probably more short-chain fatty acid producers because you're eating more fiber and colourful foods. Alcohol definitely has an impact on the microbiome.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something that you might find interesting. There's a professor based in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, called Professor Jaj Bajaj. He's a pioneer in the application of essentially microbiome modulation in liver disease, with a particular focus on something called hepatic encephalopathy, which is a condition used to describe people who've got decompensated liver disease and a variety of neuromuscular problems and cognitive decline. And what he's done is he's done these FMT studies, IMT studies, where they move microbes from one person into another. FMT, fecal microbiota transplantation, IMT, intestinal microbiota transfer. And he has, over the course of his work, showed in a small pilot study setting that you can reduce alcohol cravings through moving microbes from a healthy donor into somebody who's got alcoholism, which I think is just like super, super cool.
Yeah.
And it could be, as you're talking about, that some element of the cravings relates to the bugs.
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
it's amazing. So going back to your program then, we've talked about the things that we shouldn't have for the first 30 days, the gluten, the alcohol, the dairy, and we've also spoken about processed sugars as well, and gluten. Now we're talking about what you should eat, and we're talking about plants.
Yes.
So do you build a program for these people? Or do you have like general rules? Like what do you do to make sure that what's going in is right, in addition to excluding all the things that, you shouldn't have?
So it's actually a little bit more of a generalized program, because I like to make it very flexible. Each person is different. We have different schedules. We've got different needs. Some people are more fussy eaters. So what I like to do is provide people with like an array of like over 100 to 200 recipes that they can actually pick and choose and kind of design their own day. So they actually, I find even in the past with having people in a clinic setting, when you're just telling them, eat this, you're telling them what to do, they just don't, it's not exciting for them. But when they're actually co-creating with you, they're kind of essentially, you're giving them a little bit of responsibility. I feel like they stick to it better, and they're more excited because they get to kind of create, oh, well, tomorrow I think I'm going to have this recipe. I'm going to have that green goddess salad with chicken. I'm going to have a butter bowl and this and this. So it's more exciting for them. So this whole array of recipes and meal choices that they can choose from, so that they can, and also it can be more sustainable. So they can use those recipes, learn them, and then use them for the rest of their life.
What's the most popular recipe? Is it the green goddess salad?
That's my favorite.
What's in the green goddess salad?
The green goddess salad has everything from avocado to green beans to
sounds good.
just all your greens, and then we've got this amazing my amazing recipe for dressing.
Go for it. Big up the program.
Yeah, so it's this salad, then we've got this like kind of green dressing, which is really creamy, delicious, and you can add things like, if you want pulled chicken, you can add seeds, you can add nuts in there, you can even add prawns, shrimp, all that sort of stuff, and eggs. So
sounds good.
It's like a base to add all your protein.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
And the Buddha bowl is like, what is a Buddha bowl?
A Buddha bowl is kind of definitely not something I created. this concept.
Can't go that far.
No, I'm definitely not taking responsibility for that or credit for that. But a Buddha bowl is kind of like this whole concept and base of having this balanced plate. So you're going to have something like a healthy carbohydrate in the corner of your plate. So one corner of your plate is a healthy carbohydrate, or even something like more of a protein, which is like quinoa, or you can have brown rice, or you can have...
Quinoa is a good source of protein, right?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
You know Rich Roll?
Yes.
Oh God, he loves quinoa.
Yeah.
He actually, it's a good book called Finding Ultra, and he transformed my thinking on plant-based diet. Mm-hmm. My sister had been trying to convince me for a long time, and I was like, nah.
Not for me.
Oh, come on. No, Nina. No harm to Nina. And then I read this book and I was like, okay, so there's elite athletes doing purely plant-based diet.
Yeah.
That was like, right, okay, so this is probably something I should look into more. And quinoa.
Yeah.
He's like, quinoa. Protein source. So the Buddha bowl can have quinoa.
Yeah, so a healthy kind of carbohydrate, or kind of blend of carbs and healthy proteins. And then you're going to have healthy fats. So you can have something like, avocado, guacamole, you can, make something like that. And then I always like to add falafels, or a good lean protein source. You can have fish again. And then the rest is kind of like salad leaves, rocket, raw or cooked vegetables, depending on how well you feel your body digests them. Okay. So just side note on this, I just want to speak about this.
Let's do it. Yeah, this is really interesting. Really interesting.
Something that's kind of I've been talking about quite a lot recently. So there's this whole like raw food diet community online, and a lot of health coaches and people in this community of health and nutrition who say, raw is best, raw is the best way to eat everything raw, go on a raw diet, you'll cure yourself of this and this and this.
I've heard about this.
Yeah. So this raw food diet craze, and don't get me wrong, raw foods are amazing, and there is some kind of downsides to if you cook fruits and vegetables, whatever, you can lose some vitamin C and some of the minerals from it. But for a lot of people, just eating raw foods, it's actually quite taxing on their system. Their body, their system isn't, it doesn't cope well with all raw foods. It's a lot of work, especially also older people too. So cooking your food, cooking your fruits and vegetables, there are many benefits for digestion. It's more easily digested by your system, especially if you have things like IBS or IBD even. Cooking your fruits and vegetables is beneficial.
Yeah. So this is almost like, it's not a fad, because there's probably some benefit to eating raw, but it seems like one of these things that's just really, again, just taken off and propagated through social media, but people haven't really been given the information they need. So for somebody that is, I suppose, just healthy but wants to take their gut health to the next level, would you recommend some element of raw vegetables and so on?
Yeah, so like, lots of like raw fruits, so things like oranges, apples, that type of thing, bananas, but then having a little bit of a mixture between healthy salads, and you can have, what I like to do is I'll make hummus at home, have cucumber sticks or carrot sticks, but then the rest of the fruit, the rest of the vegetables that I'm eating are cooked, or even just fried or boiled quickly, not for too long, but just to kind of break them down a little bit so they're easier for my body to digest.
Funny comment on the Buddha bowl thing. So I love Buddha bowls, like my favourite. And whenever I'm in London, which is where we are now, I'm eating a Buddha bowl every day. Mm-hmm. In Glasgow, however.
Yeah.
I typed in Buddha bowl into Deliveroo and Just Eat last week.
Yeah.
0 hits. Honestly, 0 hits. So that just shows you, we have a long way to go from a kind of societal perspective in terms of making sure that people actually can get this kind of really high quality, micronutrient dense, minimally processed, high fiber, very colourful foods onto their plate every day. But it sounds like your clients are actually making them themselves.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun, I suppose. And I guess you can be absolutely sure about what's going in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many recipes have you got then for your clients?
Well, yeah, over 100 recipes, because there are a lot of people that do eat meat and they do eat fish, or maybe they don't eat meat, or maybe they're vegan. So there's lots of different kind of people to cater for that come to see me and want to do my gut health program.
Yep.
So there's a mixture of vegan recipes, and of course, like people that eat meat can still eat the vegan recipes.
Yep.
Of course. But there are some with like meat. I don't really have that many recipes with like a lot of red meat or anything, just because I find
it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. Yeah. You know, a little bit here and there is totally fine. You know, once or twice a week, that's fine. But a lot of these clients before the program are eating a lot of processed meats and processed foods in general. So trying to kind of slowly show them there's another way of eating where you can feel amazing and you don't need to eat all these different things. It's just, you know, lack of education. They just don't know that there's all these different types of recipes and all these different types of foods they've never even maybe heard of that you can eat that are going to be so much more beneficial for your health and be more exciting as well.
So part of your, so just to kind of round off in your gut health program then, there's the 30 days intense reset.
Yes.
And actually, I'm just going to make a note. I want to ask you about juice diets as well, but let's park that. So there's the reset, and then there's the ongoing, what you're calling 70-30, 80-20, and jump in if any of this is wrong, by the way. And then there's the plant-based predominance as well.
Yeah.
And they follow your recipes every day. And you check in with them, and is that how it works?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a month starting point, a month of education, a month of showing you how good your body's made to feel, a month of just, you know, kind of eating clean essentially. And then after that, you're always going to have these recipes and this coaching and this education to go back to, but you go off on your own, you live more kind of 70-30, 80-20 lifestyle. 80% of the time you're eating healthy in line with this, 20% of the time do whatever you like. It's totally fine.
Okay.
But you're going to see a lot of benefits eating that way compared to how you were eating before.
I love that. So what do you recommend for your clients then in terms of prebiotics, probiotics, and any other supplements that they should be taking?
Yeah, so there's like so many benefits to supplements. I take supplements. It really, really has improved my gut health.
You got a big stack?
Not too much of a big stack.
Because you know there's all these biohacking people and they're taking they're taking loads and loads.
A million different pills and all this sort of stuff.
I'm kind of guilty actually. I take quite a lot.
Not too harmful. As long as your main diet, you know, is healthy. I think we're seeing a lot of people, they're not changing their diet and they're just taking all these supplements and all these pills, that's not how it works.
Nope.
You have to change your diet as well.
100%.
For those to be effective as well and get those results that you want, you have to change your diet. You can't just take a probiotic and you're still eating McDonald's every couple of days and eating this and drinking alcohol and you never drink any water. Of course, you're never going to see any benefits. They only work when you are improving your diet alongside them. And like even the word supplement, it's a supplement on top of a healthy diet.
Right.
So if someone comes to me and says, well, I don't want to change my diet, can you just sell me a supplement or just tell me what supplement to have? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that because what's the point, you know?
You need to do the work.
You have to do the work.
So on the probiotic side then, do you take probiotics?
Yes, every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Okay. And I know you've got a particular one. It's cool to talk about it. So
Yeah. So I take an Arbonne symbiotic, and a lot of people, they'll be like, well, what's a symbiotic?
Right.
So symbiotic is basically a prebiotic and a probiotic supplement in one. And what a lot of people are doing, and they're going out and they're buying probiotics, just pure probiotics. They're buying cheap probiotic brands, own brands from the supermarket or from any other pharmacy or online. And these probiotics are not surviving past the acidity of the stomach. So by the time they've taken the supplement, it goes down through the system. It's actually, you're not getting any beneficial bacteria delivered to where it needs to be.
Right.
Deep down enough in the digestive tract. So the benefits of actually pairing a prebiotic with a probiotic in a supplement and having them both together is the prebiotics are, of course, they're providing you benefits as a prebiotic for your gut, but the prebiotics are actually shown to help the probiotic survive those kind of extreme conditions of the acidity of the stomach and heat and all that sort of stuff. So that's why I recommend a symbiotic supplement, not just taking a probiotic. And the one I take as well also has a digestive enzyme in it too. So it also helps, provide you a couple of benefits for breaking down your food more efficiently so that vitamins, minerals, all the goodness from your food can be delivered and traveled and to all the kind of points of the body that need it.
So I suppose the bugs, which are probiotic, maybe come to life at some point and they start eating the prebiotic, right? And that improves the survival. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard of symbiotics before. I'm not taking any at the moment, or probiotics. I guess a couple of different reasons. One is I'm not convinced that the probiotics have been designed, it's not been rationally designed and tested. And the other element as well is, well, you've touched on the delivery systems in terms of the capsule, where do they go?
Yeah.
But more importantly, I think investing in the best possible food you can afford is probably the highest yield thing you can do. Like
Absolutely.
The best plants. And if you're getting someone else to prepare for you through meal prep or whatever, make sure it's the best meal prep. That's probably going to have the most bang for buck. But I do also appreciate that for some people, I think probiotics could be really helpful.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
during the reset, do you tell them to start probiotics as well?
Yes.
As part of the reset.
So they get these products too.
Yep.
And also
Makes
just
sense.
touching on, so we've talked about probiotic supplements and kind of prebiotics as well. But also what I've seen benefits in even things like a protein, a clean, because there's a lot of brands out there of protein powders where they've got all this added stuff and all these artificial sweeteners, and they're actually just so causing so much more harm than good. But there actually is a benefit of adding in a protein supplement again on top of a healthy diet. So first and foremost, making sure you're really trying to get as much protein, lean, good quality proteins and amino acids from your diet first. But most people, we're just so busy, we're running around, maybe we're not eating enough protein. Most people are not actually eating enough protein than for their needs. So adding in a clean protein supplement on top of that, into your smoothies in the morning or into your porridge oats or even as a shake, just by itself, there are benefits to that because protein is needed for growth and repair of cells in our body, but also our gut. Protein is involved in collagen formation too. There's collagen in our intestinal walls, and that will help cell integrity and could also, be a benefit for anyone who has leaky gut syndrome. And protein has been shown to improve or reduce cravings for sugar and have benefits for the gut microbiome as well. So there are many benefits to a protein supplement.
So what do people need to look for then if they're going to be buying a protein supplement? Like how, because there's so many, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's literally so many. So what do they need to look for in terms of protein source, but also you mentioned the artificial sweeteners and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think artificial sweeteners are the big one.
Avoid.
Avoid sucralose, aspartame, that sort of thing. They can be quite irritating on your.
So do you tell everyone? So what? Okay, now we're going to talk about sugar-free drinks.
Yes.
Sugar-free 7-Up, sugar-free Coke Zero, all that kind of stuff. What's your thoughts? Because it's sounding like you're saying,
no.
You're saying. No
not
deal.
A fan.
Okay,
not a fan
interesting.
Of these artificial sweeteners. And the thing is, it is very confusing right now because there is so many conflicting studies and research on artificial sweeteners and the effect on the gut microbiome. And you've got a lot of these, especially influencers online.
Sugar.
Influencers that are qualified.
Sorry to the listener. Hopefully we can edit that. I'm sort of smacking the microphone. Sorry. Go on. No. You're in a flow there, and that was really important. So crack on.
We're seeing a lot of kind of influencers that are also qualified online, but they're saying, this research study is the be all and end all, and it's showing that artificial sweeteners have no effect on the gut microbiome. But some of the research studies, they're just not being done long term enough. there's a lot of conflicting factors in the ways that they're designing these studies. So it's just going to take more time. But what I know is, even from my own experience, I'm not a fan of these artificial kind of chemically created sweeteners. I feel like, there is more natural ones. You can even get monk fruit sweetener, even stevia. It's a great alternative.
Stevia's better.
Stevia's better, yeah.
So on the sugar-free drink artificial sweetener thing, the most conclusive study that I've seen to date was published very recently, and it said that actually they have a big effect on the microbiome. Aspartame, I'm trying to recall what the paper said. I think aspartame was less of a trigger for the changes they observed, and the changes they observed were fascinating. It was like they were showing that these artificial sweeteners essentially had a similar effect to sugar on blood glucose.
Yes.
So in terms of like glycemic index response, which blew my mind a little bit. So it might be that something within the gut microbiome is happening in which they're metabolizing these artificial sweeteners, and that has some sort of downstream effect on the body. I don't know. I really don't know. And there's something called molecular mimicry as well, which people are talking about in the microbiome, where although it's not exactly the same molecules, it's triggering the same effect as that particular group of molecules or single molecule would have on the body. So it might be that it's producing the same effect as sugar without actually being sugar. I don't know that much about it, but I think I was just listening to what you're saying there. I was thinking actually the research is definitely siding towards you at this particular moment in time in terms of your stance. But what do people do? Because like, on the one hand, they either drink Coke, which has lots of refined sugar in it. Or they drink Coke Zero, which has aspartame in it. And then you're going to say they don't drink at all. No, you're going to say don't drink anything at all. No, I fully accept that is an option. But so if you were to pick one or the other, which would you pick? Oh, tricky question.
Oh, this is a really hard one.
Tricky.
I would probably go with the full fat.
Oh,
give me all the sugar. But I never drink these anyway. But if I had to pick one, I would maybe pick the original. Give me all the sugar.
Interesting. Okay, I'll push back a little bit. My view is I still think I would take the sugar-free option. I really think that high quantities of refined sugar in the absence of any fiber and micronutrient benefit is a big issue. That said, the jury, this is not solved science. We're still learning. And if it transpires that the products of microbial metabolism in the context of aspartame and other sweeteners is really bad, then I would change. And I would probably err on the side of not drinking it rather than drinking the sort of full fat, full sugar content versions. As you know, in Scotland, we love Iron Brew.
Yes.
And that has a whole raft of other things. You see the colour of it and you're like,
I know.
That can't be good for you, but it's our national drink. So so I'll send you that study and you can take a look at it. Stevia is really interesting. So that's different insofar as it's derived from a plant. Is that right?
From a plant, from like a stevia leaf.
Interesting.
And there's actually, third generation stevia, just the way that it can be processed, actually does have some health benefits.
Okay.
So it is much better than aspartame, as far as we know, but seeing where it is derived from the stevia leaf or the stevia plant, of course it's going to probably have a lot more benefits than aspartame or artificial sweeteners that are made in a laboratory. Got it.
So people could, I suppose, in their coffee, no, can't drink coffee, in their
you can.
I know I'm kind of winding up a little bit actually, but they're sweetening their drink. Stevia's a good choice, and you can buy your own little sort of stevia dispenser, can't you?
Yes.
You could take it around with you. So
yeah.
Okay, I got a note to ask you about juices.
Yes.
And juice diets. So tell me about juice diets then. Are you a fan or are you not a fan?
So I love juicing. So I got into my big kind of phase last year, and even before that, like our family, we're super healthy. My mum is so into juicing. It is unreal. You'll walk into the house and she'll have a turmeric juiced beetroot juice something and give it to
Nice.
you. So love juice.
That sounds great.
But yeah, juice tastes delicious, but and juice can deliver a lot of nutrition to us, but actually juice diets, just juicing for a long period of time, first of all, it's quite difficult. Second of all, there can be benefits for it for your health, but you're actually removing all of the fiber from that when you're juicing, when you're getting rid of that pulp, which can be quite beneficial. And I've even seen, like, I've kind of trialed and tested just juicing and just, not eating anything else.
Okay.
And felt quite weak or quite tired. So there's...
So hold on, you didn't have anything other than juice?
Nothing other than juice.
Because that's the kind of diet that I see some people saying.
Yeah.
And they call it a cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do often ask myself, do they not know that they have a liver and a set of kidneys that does quite a good job at cleansing? But anyways, on the cleanse front, would you recommend the cleanse to anybody?
No, I wouldn't recommend, unless maybe, there have been proven benefits for, really down the line if someone had something serious like cancer. That's a whole other podcast episode, but, serious diseases, there can be benefits for some people for maybe fasting. It's not juicing, it's just the act of fasting.
Yep.
Fasting is actually what is happening here when people say, well, juice cleanses are amazing. It's not the juice, it's the art of fasting, which can have a lot of benefits for
I believe it.
Healing your body and everything, and on your gut microbiome as well.
I believe it. I had someone on a little while ago now who he's an expert in pediatric inflammatory bowel disease and the microbiome. And he was telling me that 70% of children with first diagnosis Crohn's disease who go onto an exclusive liquid diet, so it's called exclusive enteral nutrition, EEN, go into remission over the course of like 8 to 12 weeks or something like that, which is mad. And his theory was that the microbes in the gut kind of went to sleep for a little while, and that was dampening down the inflammation. So what you're saying, I think, in relation to fasting and juicing, it has a place sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
But just to do a cleanse kind of doesn't really make sense.
No, not for the average person. And you'll see the reason why a lot of these people are doing these crazy juice cleanses and fasts is actually because they want to lose weight. And that's not, fasting for that long or juicing for like a week and not eating any food, that's not a sustainable practice for weight loss. And you'll find that actually on the other end of it, when you come out the other side, you're probably going to go rebound back and gain even more weight because it's not how it works. So it's all about sustainable habits over time.
And do some of your clients, in addition to the gut health program or desires, also want to lose weight? And do you see weight loss in your clients?
Yes, for some of them, what I see is it's actually, they're less inflamed. It might not be as much body fat percentage being decreased, although many of them do. But what I see is they look less inflamed. They look leaner and they're not holding on to a lot of water weight. Even I see this even in my face changing. I look less inflamed in my face when I look after my gut health.
So what does that mean, sorry, when they look less inflamed?
Kind of inflamed, kind of like that puffier feeling, bloated, that type of look. It's not like body or like fat tissue, but it's that kind of inflammation in their body because they've been eating a lot of processed food, drinking a lot of alcohol, just not eating healthy enough, not drinking enough water, not getting enough sleep. That's another big thing.
I know. So walk us through then a day in the life for yourself in terms of your diet and your supplements, like your full routine in your stack.
Yeah, so I actually, going back to or fasting in general, I do a little bit of intermittent fasting. So I'll maybe do 1 day a week of intermittent fasting. I won't do a whole fast because I love food.
What does that mean?
But intermittent fasting is basically just kind of like skipping breakfast simply and having your first meal maybe later on in the day. So you're having more of a fast. So I'll have my last meal maybe around 7 o'clock, max 8 p.m. And then I won't eat again until around 2, 3, sometimes 4.
Okay.
So it just gives your system a little bit of break. And there are lots of benefits for your gut bacteria for doing this. Research has shown this over and over and over again. So if there is a day where I feel a bit bloated, feel a bit inflamed, feel a bit like sluggish, lethargic, I'll just do intermittent fasting the next day. And I actually feel like not even just with bloating or gut health, but I'll feel a lot more focused. I'll have a bit more energy and concentration. So some days of the week or one day of the week, maybe I'll do intermittent fasting. If I am not doing that, an average day, I will wake up, I will have a glass of water, I will have my probiotics, I'll have a greens powder as well.
Which one's that?
And that's the Arbonne one as well, which has lots of prebiotics and lots of your blue, green, yellow, orange fruits and vegetables.
Very cool.
Which is great. And then I will have either my smoothie or like
Is it the same smoothie every day or?
No, so variety is really, really important for your gut health. And so yeah, you will never see me stick to the same foods every single day. Never, never, never. Because it is really important for your gut to be getting variety.
So that's another key principle.
Oh yeah, variety, really, really important.
And when we say variety, are we talking like variety of colours, or is it more like the actual foodstuffs themselves? So you have a different vegetable and so on. Yeah.
Variety of food and colour as well. Eat the rainbow. We always hear that, eat the rainbow. Yep. But variety of different types of healthy foods, not like different types of things from McDonald's, get a different type of choice, but healthy foods. Yeah, different plant foods, and varying it up day to day.
Hopefully no one from McDonald's is listening to this. We've been dissing them a little bit. So you have a smoothie and then you just use your recipe book and
and then I'll have I'll have a snack depending on if I've done a heavy workout that day or been very active. I'm always listening to my body. So, and this is what I encourage my clients to do: eat intuitively, listen to your body. If your body is telling you, I'm starving now, I need to eat,
you should just eat.
Don't starve yourself to death. That's not healthy. It's not fun. Right. It's not sustainable. Eat if you are hungry. So then I'll have a snack if I need it, and then I'll have my lunch meal. And a good practice that I like to do while I'm eating or throughout the day is just eat slowly and focus on what I'm eating and not be sitting scrolling through my phone or watching TV or doing a million different things while I'm eating my lunch or my dinner or any meal. It's like the art of eating intuitively and eating slowly and chewing your food properly. It's so much better for your gut. And I see a lot of my clients and people in general, even if you sit in a restaurant, you look around, you look at people eating, wolfing down their food, not even chewing it properly.
God, I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Or they're at work and they're just like, have to eat, and just boom, it's done. So eating intuitively means taking your time and
listening to the hunger cues.
Okay. And not being distracted when you're actually eating. Yeah. Any other elements, or are those the main sort of guiding principles?
And also listening to, I guess, your body's reactions to food. So eating intuitively isn't just, those practices. It's also kind of being aware of how does my body feel while I'm eating this?
Okay.
Am I feeling tired now? Am I feeling really sluggish? Right. So it's actually just it's awareness. It's self-awareness of like internally, how do I feel? Does this, I just ate that meal. Do I feel good now, or do I feel tired or exhausted or a bit like, ugh? When you eat like a very greasy meal, you feel a bit
I know exactly horrible. What you mean.
Yeah. So
do you recommend people journal this, or they just make a mental note, so to speak?
You can journal it. Journaling's a really good practice for that self-awareness, and also for tracking. If you're kind of, even with an elimination diet, or if you're tracking and you want to find out what foods are triggering me to bloat, or why am I getting these crazy energy crashes, or why am I getting these rashes, or why is my eczema getting more inflamed, and you can track it through your diet. So taking a note of, okay, I ate this, and this, how do I feel now? If it's for skin, what does my skin look like now, or the 6 hours after that? Journaling can be a good practice.
Can people see like a response or like a change that quickly? You eat something in 6 hours, I suppose it's been partly digested and boom.
Yeah. Depends on the person,
Wow.
but yeah, they can. Sometimes it can take around 24 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah.
But just if you're tracking everything, you can go back to what did I eat in the 3 days running up to this inflammation or this reaction or my stomach being in knots and pains or my skin breaking out. You can kind of reframe and reflect on what you ate and then make changes from there.
What are the most common bloat promoting foods in your experience? And have you got experience with the FODMAP, like food groups?
Yes.
Yeah. So
the kind of FODMAP or low FODMAP diet, I find it's just not sustainable. So the FODMAP diet and eating low FODMAP kind of foods from fruits and vegetables, that whole diet was actually not created as a lifestyle. It was created as, again, a little bit of a experimentation process for someone who does get very bloated, even from healthy foods, to try out for a while and then slowly reintroduce like certain trigger foods into their diet in different formats, cooked different ways, so that they can not get those negative effects or impacts from certain foods as much as they used to before. But I see people are, going on a low FODMAP diet, not eating these certain types of foods and doing it forever, and then they're not eating so many healthy fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And it's impacting their health.
Because there's a lot of high FODMAP foods, which are also very high fiber and very high in antioxidants and other and micronutrients, like garlic, for example.
Garlic,
That's like a classical one, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I actually can't remember what FODMAP stands for, but it's commonly prescribed for people who have IBS.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And it's very effective, I think.
For some people it can be very effective. I've had a lot of people, however, come to me even when they've seen my social media posts, my transformation, and say, I did, this FODMAP diet or low FODMAPs, and it didn't do anything. And actually, this is one of the questions that I'll ask people. I'll say, what have you done? I went to this person, I asked them then, okay, did you do low FODMAP? A lot of them say yes. How did it work? Didn't do anything. So it's not always, I think sometimes we're getting too specific, whereas it's not that complicated. The reason that they are bloating all the time and having these issues might not actually just be down to their diet. It might be down to stress, things like that. They're so stressed. Stress is one of the most inflammatory things in our gut and digestion as well. So it's looking at that whole picture, not just being really, really specific on like this one thing is causing it.
On the stress side, what are the recommendations that you give to clients? That's a tough one, right? That's a tricky one. So what are your recommendations?
So I recommend things, simple things like breath work. 5 minutes of just deep breathing, heavy breathing, just recentering yourself. You can do things like yoga. A quick meditation is really good. So 5 minutes guided meditation. Yep.
Is the breath work? I mean, some people will be familiar with Wim Hof.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Pretty much, right?
Different methods within that. And you can find it, like, there's so much on YouTube, like guided breath work you can follow. And even these apps like Calm and
so
like
powerful
for meditation. So that's really, really good for helping reduce your stress levels. And even, again, going back to supplements, there's supplements out there. Ashwagandha is a really effective supplement that I use quite a lot too. And it's really effective for reducing those feelings of stress and even anxiety.
A plant?
Ashwagandha root. Yeah,
it's a root.
Kind of like a root. Yeah.
And it's a sort of has calming properties.
Yes.
Take that before bed?
You can take it before bed. Sometimes, if I do have coffee, coffee just doesn't...
So you do sometimes?
Sometimes, but I'll get this crazy anxiety afterwards and feel a bit panicked and bloated. I will take ashwagandha after that.
So do you think is your life better without coffee? Have you found that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll have it every so often, but I know what's going to happen after that. I'm going to feel a little bit more bloated, a bit anxiety, a bit jittery, that sort of thing.
Really interesting. What about caffeine-free, so like decaf coffee? Better? Same issues?
It can be better, yeah. But it's not just the caffeine. The way that coffee beans are processed, a lot of these like chemicals and like harmful chemicals in the way that
Oh.
coffee beans are processed nowadays, especially from a lot of these big brands out there and franchises. It's a lot of these harmful chemicals processing the beans, and you're finding that, especially in decaf. So, you can have it here or there.
Wow.
It can be beneficial, but reducing your intake of it, can give you those benefits for your gut.
Do your clients have headaches and things like that when they start, like, the program because of the caffeine withdrawal and so on?
That's one of the common symptoms.
It's common, yeah.
Yes.
What else is common when they do the reset?
Cravings.
Yeah.
Yeah, cravings can be a big one.
Yeah.
For sugar, just as they're weaning themselves slightly off
Right.
these foods and this diet they once had before. So cravings, headaches, and just feeling a little bit more tired. Some people will go from a very, very high carbohydrate rich diet, whereas on this gut health program, it's more balanced. You might see a little bit of reduction of carbohydrates generally, but compared to maybe what they had before, they were very, very, especially vegans, vegetarians. We're seeing a lot of vegan, vegetarian diets very, very prominent in carbohydrates. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
And not the non-digestible kind that you're promoting?
Well, both kinds. And even on that, I've seen a lot of vegans and vegetarians. They're actually not as healthy as people that are eating meat. Wow. They're eating a lot of processed carbohydrates and processed replacements for
protein replacements.
Yeah, protein, meat, all this sort of stuff.
Interesting.
And they're becoming a lot less healthier than they were before.
But is your view that the plant-based diet in general is the diet for gut health?
Eating more
plant-based.
Plant predominant. Yes, 100%.
That's the way to go. But it's still okay, as per the 80-20, 70-30, if you want to have something else, then you can go ahead and do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
100%. Yeah.
Good. So for like the average person who maybe isn't quite ready yet to do the resets, and there'll be a lot of those people who are looking at that list and are maybe feeling a bit daunted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it myself. Coffee. What's like the single biggest, most impactful things they can do if they're not quite ready yet for your program? What do they do? I mean, obviously they should do the program, right?
Yeah, of course.
They should do the program.
Well, yeah, let me give people 3 steps, 3 kind of tips. My first tip would be have a look at your current diet now, even just do 1 or 2 days of tracking and write down how many portions of fruits and vegetables did I have. And it will actually shock people. People over assume like, oh yeah, I eat loads. And then they actually write it down and they're like, oh gosh, like I didn't really eat many fruits and vegetables this week at all. So just, not going from 1 or 2 portions a day to full 5 or 6 portions a day, just 1 extra portion.
Small changes.
Yep. Master that, do that for a week, 10 days, 21 days, however long, and then work your way up. Next one is increasing your fiber intake. So in the UK, most of us are not even getting nearly half the recommended amount we should be eating of fiber, which is 30 grams a day. 30 grams a day is a recommended amount. We should be getting, most of us are not even getting like 15, 16 grams of fiber a day.
Goodness me.
No wonder we're all dealing with these issues of gut health and constipation.
And it's that 30 grams that's going to nourish the microorganisms in the microbiome, right? It's that fiber that's going to get them happy and metabolically active and so on. Okay, so we're getting 50% on average in the UK. That is really bad.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That is very, very bad.
Yes.
I'm not surprised we're seeing all these issues and so on. That is. So what do we do then to promote more fiber? What can society do? So in
terms of eating?
And I'm sorry, I've taken you off piste. I'm so sorry. I get very excited about things.
We all get so excited.
Sorry, I'm too excited about the microbiome. You're in a flow and I cut you off. What were you were talking about fiber?
Yes. So
how do we get into fiber? Sorry.
So we can, I guess, eating more and getting more fiber into our diet. Even
the changes people can make to get. Right. Let's crack on with that.
Eating more fiber. So even adding things like oats. Oats are such a great source of fiber. Really great source.
Gluten-free.
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 Actually, oats are gluten-free, but you'll see there's so much kind of
misinformation. Processed in the same factories.
As other plants and stuff that have this protein gluten in it. So like oats are naturally gluten-free. A lot of
Okay.
people are like, what? Oh my gosh, I can eat oats. Yes, you can. But I think it is partially a sales tactic for a lot of brands. Be like, gluten, this is gluten-free.
Oh,
And then people get confused and they're like, wait, oats weren't
yeah.
gluten-free? Oh no. And they're just buying this brand because it says gluten-free on it.
Okay, interesting. How do you make oats good without milk?
I just
So I'm really doing myself a disservice here, aren't I?
I just eat them with, water. I will add a little bit of protein powder in there. You can add some berries. I'll always add berries. I'll add maca powder. Maca root powder is one of my favorite things to add in. Maca powder is really, really good for mostly actually for sexual health and things like libido, hormones.
Oh, really?
I always say it tastes like biscuits.
Maca.
Maca, Maca. And you can get it in.
What is this?
So it's like a root again. All going back to the roots, but
Roots in the plants.
roots in the plants. Yeah.
We should talk about mushrooms as well.
Yeah.
No, seriously, mushrooms are amazing. Let's do this.
Maca is a great one. It tastes amazing. I add that to my oats and also my smoothies. You can have dried fruit, prunes, nuts, seeds, banana on top.
Yeah.
Really, really great to be added into porridge oats.
So you just put water and they soak up and it's good?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And can people buy maca and some of the other things we've been talking about, the ashwagandha?
Yeah.
Where do people buy these things?
So maca you can actually find in supermarkets. Most supermarkets, health food shops. It's not that expensive either. Ashwagandha you won't find in the supermarkets. You'll get that in a health food shop online, that sort of thing. Supplement companies. Yeah.
Yep. Any other really interesting roots, plants that people should consider? But these are the staples you're talking about.
They're kind of like my favorite ones. You touched on mushrooms there, which is something I've been implementing in. Mushroom powders and blends.
Goodness me.
They are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, within your microbiome, of course, you've got what's called the microbiome, which are fungal communities, essentially, microscopic fungal communities. And we know less about the relative importance of the microbiome in the context of the microbiome, which is all the microorganisms. And my understanding is that that's because it's harder to study them. It's relatively easier to study the bacteria, and as such, we've been working a lot on bacteria. But the microbiome is clearly a part of the ecology and the ecosystem, and therefore is probably very important. Now, you're just about to tell me some interesting things on mushrooms. So what's been your mushroom journey?
So I started taking kind of mushroom blends recently, and they're just amazing for focus. They've got so many benefits, from even things, being anti-carcinogenic, like killing cancer cells, hormones, skin, immune function, all of these different benefits. So I've started, drinking these mushroom blends, and they've been amazing and really helped with my focus. There's a brand that I use called Dirty, which I love them. Dirty mushrooms.
Interesting. Hold on. Dirt as in D-I-R-T?
So D-I-R-T-E-A.
Ah.
Yeah.
Dirt tea. Because I was going to ask you, do you drink it in tea or do you mix it as a powder in your smoothies and your
smoothies? Shakes.
Smoothie and shake, not the smoothie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I'll drink like half and half. So I'll do it with as a tea just on its own, and it's actually very healing. So I'll have that sometimes first thing in the morning before I have my breakfast, or even before I have my probiotics, or I'll mix my probiotics with a mushroom blend. Or then sometimes I'll add it to my smoothies, or even something. You don't want to be heating it up too much,
right?
Like boiling water, even when you're drinking your mushroom blends, because it can kill some of the botanicals and active ingredients in there. But hot water is fine.
Some people take mushroom tinctures as well, so these are pre-extracted things. You just put it on the sort of underside of your tongue. But the cool thing for me is there's so many different kinds of mushroom that might have individually extremely beneficial compounds within them. And it's one of these things, you mentioned the all disease begins in the gut. People have been thinking about mushrooms and their medicinal properties for a long time, right? Same with the roots. Do you feel like we're just starting to, in the Western world, understand that actually these things are really important and have a place in like well-being and health.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are doing their own self-discovery outside of the traditional westernized medical system now.
Right.
A lot of people are going against the grain and trying to heal themselves through nutrition and diet and all these different macro root powders and mushrooms and everything. So for sure, like mushrooms is one of the big things and kind of sectors that we're discovering now. Oh my gosh, this can cure everything.
And there's the microdosing as well that people are doing with psilocybin and magic mushrooms. Definitely going to get someone on to speak about that, because I've seen psilocybin for alcoholism recently published in JAMA, which is a very high profile journal, and I'm seeing psilocybin for depression in late stage clinical studies. Okay, this is really cool. It's coming from a plant and it's doing amazing things. So I think we've been talking for a wee while.
Lots of information in there.
This has been so interesting for me. Maybe we should just round up by you, telling the listeners where they can follow you and find you on social media, and also if they want to learn more about your gut reset and recipes, like where do they go?
So social media is the best way to find me. So I'm on TikTok and on Instagram as well. Not quite on Facebook properly yet. I know I'm like behind the times, but social media. So at That Next Level Girl. I'm all about your next level life and improving your health and wellness and mindset. So at That Next Level Girl on TikTok and on Instagram. Best way to find me is actually just to contact me through there. I'm basically answering my DMs 24/7. I do sleep sometimes, but that's the best way to find me on social media.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed that conversation.
Yes,
very welcome. Thank you. To learn more about the guests on today's episode or more about the Inside Matters podcast, please visit insidematters.health. Thank you.